Okay, so welcome to another edition of Notes from Erin. I'm very, very excited. I have a guest here today. I have Bsrat Mezghebe, who wrote a great book called I Hope You Find What You're Looking For. So I'm really excited to have you here today.
You. Thank you
Thank
so much. I appreciate the invitation to be in conversation with you. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, yes, and you have such a beautiful voice. I forgot to tell you that before you
Oh,
started.
thank you. I appreciate that. What can
Thank
I
you.
do with that?
Well, you could sing if you want.
Oh, no, I can't. But if you have another business opportunity idea for me, let me know. I appreciate that.
No, it's very melodic. So I guess to start, let's talk about I guess let's start with maybe like your first memory as a reader. Like, what's one
Oh,
of the first books that you read, and what's
oh,
something that made you want to read uh, more frequently?
I have such a terrible memory with firsts. But I my one of my early favorite writers was Roald Dahl. And this is definitely not the first book I read by Roald Dahl, but he wrote this book, something about the wondrous tale of Henry Sugar. I can't
Oh, yes,
remember.
yes,
Do you
yes,
remember
yes.
this? I
Yes.
can't remember the exact title. It was very recently made into a series on Netflix. I think a short film on Netflix. But it's a collection of short stories, but the main story is about Henry Sugar. And it's this kind of slightly surrealist tale of this guy who learns from I think a Hindu mystic of how to see through like paper. So he uses the skill to kind of cheat at, I think it's blackjack, or to cheat at
Oh,
card
that's
games,
cool.
because he can see through the backs of the cards, so he knows what card is being dealt next. But the way that the guru teaches him, like he has to train for a long time, is he starts off by looking at a flame, and a flame has like composite parts. It's like, I think there's an element, I think the blue is on the outside, and then there's like a little
Okay.
orange and red, and he trains him to look very closely at this flame for as a flame for a long period of time, to kind of heighten his vision. And I remember as a kid getting a candle and lighting a flame and like trying like
Yeah.
really hard, and I didn't have the resolve of Henry Sugar, but I thought, like, for a brief period of time, I was like, maybe I can figure this out. And
Mhm.
it's like a really sharp memory of my childhood, like, which is the beauty of reading. I just, you spend so, it's a solitary exercise.
Mhm.
And I was just so obsessed with that. I was
No,
so
that's
obsessed with that idea. Yeah.
well, that's good detail. You said you can't
Yeah.
remember all the details. That's
I
pretty
don't remember
good detail.
first, but I remember things that really were very, like, powerful for me.
Hmm. No, I love that. And so
Yeah.
I would assume you grew up reading also, like just throughout
Tons.
your life.
That's all I
Hmm.
did.
No,
No sports. No, I was not athletic. All books, books, books. Yeah.
no, I was a mix. Like I was a cheerleader and a dancer, but I also was a reader. But I was an only child, so I feel like that's where I kind of
Too.
like
I
got my
was,
people.
yeah, I was too.
Oh, I love.
Yeah.
And I guess this is a question I was going to ask at the end, but I
Mhm.
think it's a good time too. So, your book is a part of the Well Read Black Girl imprint.
Mhm.
So, I guess for you, like, what is like I think of being when I think of being a well-read black girl, it gives me so much like confidence in myself. I feel like you could be empathetic to people. I feel like you
Yeah.
learn so much about others from reading. Like for you, what was the importance of being a well-read black girl and what does that mean to you?
Wow. c- I think similarly, having a natural curiosity. It's not, there's, there's no coincidence that people who are naturally curious about the world tend to be readers. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that, the more curious you are, the kind of more empathetic that you are. And so, um, I think that that's at the core of like reading. And what I love about, I think as well-read Black girls and women, the art of reading and the art of kind of being curious about other people's stories is that you're making space for, like, for everyone to be centered, and that's not
Mm-hmm.
always a privilege that's granted to us. But I think it's really lovely as Black women readers that we really understand that, that we can make
Mm-hmm.
we can make space for learning about so many other cultures and other people's stories, and it's very easy for us to come from a place of like understanding and empathy, kind of for a wide array of stories. So it was a natural fit for me. I was so happy to, I've watched Glory's journey to kind of build the well-read Black girl community, and then her partnership with Live Right. I'm not surprised that she did this, because that's her personality. She's a bridge builder. She builds, homes and communities and worlds, and I'm thrilled that she started off by kind of wanting a home to celebrate Black women writers, but then, really getting into the weeds of the industry, which is the way that you get more Black women writers out there, is you can't avoid the publishing industry. You have to get involved. And
Hmm.
she got involved to kind of increase the amount of Black women writers that can tell their stories. So it's a beautiful thing.
No, I love.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like when I first learned about Well Read Black Girl, I feel like
Hmm.
I learned so many like different art authors that I should be reading,
Hmm.
and even like reading Glory's book, like
Yeah.
Gather Me. I thought was
Yeah.
such a beautiful book. And then I have like a collection of books from Well Read Black Girl.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love the community that she's cultivated through that.
Beautiful. Yeah, no, it's a beautiful thing. We need more,
Yeah.
we need more. We have, there's so many, I think, Black women who haven't been given a chance. So
Hmm.
to tell their stories.
Well, yes. And I guess
Hmm.
that takes me to your story. So, this is your debut novel. So, I guess twofold. So, one, what was the process for writing this book? Because I think, like, I won't go into super detail, but I loved the story. I loved learning about the three different women and their
Yeah.
journeys. But, like, what made you want to write this story? And then also, like, I would imagine too, especially as a reader, being able to hold your own book in your hand too. Like,
Yeah.
what was that feeling like for you?
So the first question was, how did I write it, or why did I want to write the
Yeah.
story?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. It's strange, creativity is a very, very strange thing. So I came to writing very late in life. I was always a reader. I didn't come to writing until kind of like after my quarter life crisis in my mid to late 20s, which is when
Hmm.
I kind of turned to writing. And I didn't know exactly what I was going to write about, but I grew up in the DC area. I grew up in a very kind of strong and organized Eritrean community at the time when the long 30-year war for Eritrea's independence from Ethiopia was ending. And
Hmm.
I was alive for the war and for the end of the war, for part of the end of the kind of the last third. And the stories that I heard growing up, my parents and their friends and community members kind of had the most dramatic experiences
Hmm.
back home, and then being immigrants in America. Beautiful, dramatic, hilarious, tragic. And I think I just knew I had to capture it. It's to
Hmm.
me, the Eritrean story is the greatest story never told. This book that doesn't even capture a fraction of it. There aren't that many. That we need more Eritrean writers in the diaspora and back home. We haven't even begun to kind of touch it. But I knew that like there was so much material, and I felt some pressure to kind of tell a story, to tell a story. But it took me a while to figure out what it would be. I think I felt a little pressure because I'm an elder millennial, and the baby boomers, our parents, are kind of the main characters in the story, and they're getting older. They're getting
Yeah.
older, they're getting sick, we're losing them, and me and my friends have kind of always felt this urgency, this kind of tick 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 tick, that we got to hurry up and start capturing these stories. So that was kind of the context for why I wanted to tell a story in the Eritrean community, diaspora community in the DC area. Why the story follows three women in a multi-generational family. I don't know why they chose me. Creativity is like a very funny, mystical thing, and I feel like they chose me. I'm sure something in my subconscious conjured them, but I'm not exactly quite sure. One of the characters is very obvious. She's a 13-year-old American teenager, and there was lots that I could pull from, even though she's not me. So I knew I wanted to kind of show the kind of American second generation dynamic. I knew that would be fun and interesting. And the other two women,
Hmm.
Zodi, who's the matriarch, she's older. I don't know, this woman kind of came to me, this older matriarch who never got married and never had kids. And is that turning 50 and kind of imagining what the rest of her life is going to look like. And she just kind of stole my heart. And I wanted to see where her story would take me, and I brought everyone along for the ride. And the other character is Elsa, who's a former guerrilla fighter, who sells hot dogs on the National Mall, as many Eritrean women did in the 90s, 80s, and
Hmm.
90s. And I wanted, a third of the rebel forces back home were women. So I thought that would be kind of interesting. So yeah, the women just kind of came
Hmm.
to me, and it was fun to write them. But when the book is published and to hold it in my hands to answer your question, as a reader, it's surreal. Because for
Hmm.
so long this manuscript was a digital file on my laptop, on my poor beat up laptop. That only me and like it was only me and that file, that document. And
Hmm.
then eventually, I got an agent and an editor and more people, but for the longest time it was just me and that good old document. And then to see it printed and, bound and with a cover, I can't describe it. It's still surreal. Very,
No, I can imagine
yeah.
because I have well I haven't well it was not about me, but like I
Yeah.
have this book now in three different formats. Like I have it on audio, I have
Mhm.
it
Oh, wow.
as like a digital version, and then I have the print version on my desk right here.
Oh,
And I think like even just like reading the cover and looking at the photo, like
yeah.
the cover, like the ombre and like the colors there, it's just a beautiful book when
Thank you.
I picked it up at Barnes and Noble and I was like, oh, that's so pretty in person because I had
Oh,
only had it digitally.
yeah, there's this, I'm a Kindle reader only for necessity out of convenience,
Yeah,
but there's
it's
nothing like
convenient.
holding the book. There's nothing like it. So I'm so happy that you were able to pick up the book and see the cover, and it's a great feeling.
Yeah.
It's surreal.
No,
Yeah.
I loved it. And I think too, one thing that you said is that like Zodi's character really captured you, or like when you're writing her
Yeah.
story. I felt like well, I think, well, going back to like the premise of the
Mhm.
story, I think reading about all these women's different stories at the same time, like while like how Eritrea's independence was coming,
Mhm.
I think initially when I thought about it, I thought it would be something that was like very like I don't know, maybe like a darker book or something. Like I
Uh-huh.
wasn't really sure, but there's still such a lightness in the book. And I think it shows like the balance between like political and personal and how things are
Yeah.
happening too. So like how important was that for you when you were writing?
That was and it was intentional and it was authentic.
Mm-hmm.
It's a happy coincidence when those two things align.
Mm-hmm.
But that's to me what the experience was like, even though I wasn't, I was in the diaspora, I wasn't back home. But extraordinary circumstances are not just extraordinary. You still have your ordinary life in the
Mm-hmm.
midst of extraordinary circumstances. There could be a war going on and you still have family members who are getting on your nerves. You still
Yeah.
have birthday parties to plan for. You still have to, dinner has to be on the table every night. You still got to pay the bills. And there's
Mm-hmm.
all sorts of opportunities for humor and joy and pettiness and mild irritations and,
Yes.
you know, um, chips on your shoulders. You know what I mean? I mean, all of that, it doesn't change. And that's to me
Yeah.
what I was trying to capture, that even when you're in the midst of like a drama of a political revolution, interpersonal family drama is still alive and well. People are
Mm-hmm.
people. People are
Yeah.
people, no matter
No,
what's.
and I think you captured that well
Thank you.
because I
I really
think when
appreciate that. I really appreciate that you
yeah.
captured, that you can see both. Yeah.
No, because I loved it because I felt like it was like freedom in a sense, but then it was
Yeah.
also like the motherhood story with like Elsa and Lydia. Then there's like the entrepreneur kind of love story maybe
Hmm.
with Zodi. So like I really
Yeah.
liked that connection. And I think even like seeing like I have so many like aunts and uncles in my life who are like either like the matriarchs of our family or the patriarchs of our family, and none of them have been married or had kids. So like
Mhm.
even seeing that connection, I felt that something similar to like my family and my
Good.
upbringing too. So I really liked that.
Good. I appreciate that. And I've had a few people who've said that to me, which I appreciate, because I think we all have people in our family that way. Some of the
Mm-hmm.
dynamics are a little bit different in a more traditional society. It's just a matter of degree,
Yeah.
but to have people who do so much of like the labor in a family but are not married, and sometimes, you know, their position. I was just curious about how they navigate and negotiate their position in a family, where, especially if you're a woman, not being married, not having kids,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes can people undermine your status or your position in a family. They could take advantage, thinking that you got nothing but free time to take
Mm-hmm.
care of them. And you might not also have a way to kind of express what you really want. People stop asking about you. People stop becoming curious about you when you reach a certain
Yeah.
age. You know what I mean? Especially as a woman. But I think for men too. They think that maybe all the things that kind of propelled you, your inner dreams and desires, maybe you lost them, and you don't know. And that maybe you did, but maybe you didn't. But people aren't giving you space. They
Mm-hmm.
think, to talk about that, or to even think that. So I wanted to see what is the interiority of someone who feels like people have kind of forgotten about her and counted her out, or only see her and how they're of utility to them. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted her to kind of have her say, about what she sees for the next half of her life, you know?
No, and I appreciated that because I felt like her story, um, like I liked that she was like an entrepreneur. So I liked that it was kind of like the balance if she's gonna either be an entrepreneur
Yeah.
or then be this man's wife. Like
Yeah.
I was at first I was rooting for
I
him.
I
Sorry,
didn't,
I
yeah.
was.
No, I don't, I'm serious. Were you? Yeah.
At first I was
Yeah.
because I remember there was like a part when he called her on the phone and
Yeah.
she kind of got like giddy when he
Yeah.
called. So I
She's
was like, ah.
excited.
But then I was also like, I was proud of the route that she took. Like, well, not to
Yeah.
give it away,
No, but
but yeah,
I mean, either way could she wouldn't have
be
been
good.
wrong. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
in either choice, she wouldn't have been wrong if she chose path A or path B, which is, I think maybe sometimes that's also, those are harder choices to make.
Yeah.
He was a nice guy, wasn't abusive,
Mm-hmm.
wasn't, provider, emotionally intelligent, nice guy. That's a hard choice to
I
make
know.
between that and something else. So
Mm-hmm. No,
yeah,
and he was a good father, good
yeah,
location. Yeah.
yeah. So those are harder choices to make.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, and I think another
Mhm.
storyline that I really enjoyed also was Elsa, Elsa and Lydia's relationship and some of what
Yeah.
was uncovered in that relationship. So I guess for you, like, what was the process of writing that? And also, how did you figure out, like, what you wanted the kind of like twist or secret to be within their relationship dynamic?
Um, you know, Elsa and Lydia, they have this kind of complicated mother-daughter dynamic, primarily because Elsa is not comfortable with being transparent with her daughter
Mm-hmm.
about her experiences during the war and the circumstances of Lydia's father's death. And so her daughter is getting to this age, she's 13, where she can, that's the age where you can start challenging your parents' versions of things. You have a little bit more consciousness, a little bit more sense, a little bit more awareness, um, and maybe delusion to think that you could challenge, your African mom on something, your black mom on something. So, I really, I had a hard time with their relationship, primarily because Elsa is very repressed, and I had a hard time at first depicting someone who's repressed without making her be boring on the page,
Mm-hmm.
and being flat, like one-dimensionally withholding, like, because it's not interesting if someone is just completely withholding. So I was trying to show a little bit of her interiority and why why being honest with her daughter feels like it's compromising herself, and it's so uncomfortable to her.
Mm-hmm.
And so with those types of relationships, I feel like sometimes people are talking at around each other. You know what I mean? Like, when there's like an elephant in the room, that's always been there. You're not
Yeah.
directly addressing it. Sometimes you're irritated about something else, or yeah, the way that you talk about another issue is really a reflection about the elephant in the room. So I was trying
Yeah.
to do that. And also with the arrival of the stranger, the fresh off the boat cousin, um he becomes an extension of their dynamic. Lydia's closeness to
Mm-hmm.
him and his rebellion frustrates Elsa, so he kind of becomes not a pawn, but you can see
Yeah.
the challenges in the mother-daughter dynamic in their in this new cousin. So that I needed that dynamic too, because he challenges Elsa, he challenges her, Elsa's authority, and Lydia loves that because she finally has someone else she can tag
Yeah.
team. So it was, I take, you would think that writing a mother-daughter relationship would be easy because I have a mother. I was once 13. I grew up in the DC area. I am a mother too. And but
Hmm.
I was like trying to get it right. And I also was trying to like remember what a 13, I found it hard to depict what a 13-year-old would sound like. I think I landed it, but I was trying to get it right, to not make her sound too mature, but not too immature. But I, listened to some of the music that I was out then, and I was like thinking about the books that I was reading at that time, and just trying to get my head there. So
No,
yeah.
I think you captured that because I
Thank
feel
you.
like there's like a curiosity to her. Like I
Hmm.
feel like she digs for things,
Hmm.
uh, but she also so has an innocence to her too. So like I think
Yeah.
it kind of like
Yeah.
balances that. And I think also when you mention the cousin, I feel like I really enjoyed his dynamic with Lydia because I feel like one of their common things was like food because I
Yeah.
remember like the scene where he was talking about cereal, he's talking about making like French toast and stuff.
Yeah.
And then there was like a part when he had left and Lydia was saying like she wanted to eat food with him or something. I
Hmm.
can't remember exactly what she
Hmm.
said. But I think even like tapping into the music part, there's some things that he said because he said like the it's like a jungle sometime like that what
Yeah.
is that song? Like I
Um,
thought it was
what's the rap song? Jungle. Oh my God. Yep. We
it's
know
like
what
the
we're talking about.
jungle
Don't
sometimes
push.
it made me
Going
wonder.
under.
Yeah.
Going under. Don't push.
Yes.
Close to the edge. That one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought it was funny him even bringing that in. And I
Yeah.
guess like since you just mentioned music, like what
Yeah.
was some of the music or like what was some of the music that you used to reference Lydia's or like your creative process with that?
So I'm pretty sure you're into. I know music is important to you. As
Yes.
kind of commentator and a journalist. I I think the only music that I reference, so Barakat is like this kind of provocateur. And he's like 19. He's only a few years older than Lydia is. And he's fresh
Mm-hmm.
off the boat. He's coming to America and he represents this kind of he's this, he represents another level of the intergenerational drama because he is challenging Elsa, who also challenged
Mm-hmm.
her own uncle about her dreams for her life. But she,
Mm-hmm.
because conveniently, like we all do, forget that and is imposing her will on the next generation. So, he's now has access to his younger cousin. So he wants to kind of hip her to things that he thinks are interesting. So he is like has big ideas about music and art and all that kind of stuff. So I think if I recall, I had more, but I think I took it out in the final version. He is like big into like Bob Dylan. I
Mm,
think I had a reference. He's like a purist. He appreciates,
okay.
pure artists. And I think I might have had a reference to Pink Floyd at one point, but I took that out. And then he quotes, I think the line is, he's like, I want to quote my, rapping brothers. He's into everything. And you have to
Yes.
imagine it in like a and a fresh off the boat accent. And the a funny side note about that, originally the lyric was Digital Underground's I'm just another black man caught up in the mix trying to make a dollar out of 15 cents, a dime and a nickel. That was the original line. But the woes of editing, we realized that that song came out in 1992. So my heart shattered because
Oh,
this is perfect because the story is set in 91 and I love like
yeah.
how that line worked. And she, and I was like, oh my God, editing, why? Fact checkers, could be like, can't we just kind of make this work? But it's bad taste. It's not right. So I was struggling to find another song that would make sense. And I have a music head friend of mine who helped me put this lyric in. Um, but yeah, the music references were fun. Zodi's into like Motown. There's a reference to her Motown
Mm-hmm.
cassette, and then there's some Eritrean singer references to some Eritrean musicians, which Eritreans will get. That like the kind of the greats. But yeah, to me, that's like this book is also very much about place. It's about
Mm-hmm.
this diaspora community and what how I describe a place is not just geographic, but it's what are people talking about? What are they wearing? What are they listening to? What's the art they're consuming? The music? What movies are they
Mm-hmm.
watching? And that kind of is all like the texture for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
No.
Led Zeppelin. I forgot. He references Robert Plant, the lead singer of Led Zeppelin, in a scene, which was fun
Mm-hmm.
to put in. Yeah.
No. I liked it because I think I yeah, I could see the Digital Underground if it was like another time, but I think the Juggles, I mean that song, it was funny
I
to me because I was
know.
like, it's so random that he said that, but
You know,
I
when you're old,
highlighted
you're.
it.
But my heart is still with Digital Underground, but I had to let it go.
Yeah. No, I mean I am. I'm from the Bay Area, so
Yes, 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 yes. What was his name? He passed away. Was it Shakji?
um yeah, Humpty Hump.
Shakji. Yes, yeah.
Hmm.
Humpty Hump. Yeah. Did he say that lyric? No, it was the
No,
another.
it
It
was Money
was
B.
I didn't
I'm
even
just
know his
another black man
name.
caught up
Caught
in
up
the
in the
mix,
mix.
trying to make a dollar at 50. Ooh, I don't know why I said it like that, but yeah.
No, but I didn't know his name. Okay, he was like a little more
Hmm.
petite, the petite guy.
Yeah, the
Money
little
B.
short guy with the
Yeah,
freckles.
yeah. Okay,
Mm.
Bay Area. Yeah,
And then I guess too, um, I guess another question I had
yeah.
also, because when I think of the title, I think of so many reasons why there could
Hmm.
be the title. Like, I thought it could be like Lydia searching for her dad.
Hmm.
It could be uh like Zodi, how she kind of connected Lydia with her dad's family. Like I thought
Hmm.
it could be so many things.
Hmm.
And then I thought also there was a conversation with Lydia and Baccarat,
Hmm.
and I don't know if that's what it is. Like what was
Yeah.
the concept behind the title?
That's it. That's it. I mean, the line applies to everyone. They're all looking for something, but the line is pulled from a line of dialogue that Berachet says to his cousin Lydia. Sincerely,
Hmm.
Lydia Berachet is really like Lydia's first real friend, and she
Hmm.
goes to him with this kind of personal quest she's on to kind of find out more about or the mystery of her father and her origin story in general. And she pours her heart out to him, and he tells her sincerely, "I hope you find what you're looking for." So that's where
Hmm.
that line, the title was pulled from. My brilliant agent found it. I had a different title in mind, but it wasn't a hit with everyone on the team, and so she kind of went through the book, the manuscript, and was pulling out lines that she thought could work. And I thought that it worked well. But it applies to all the characters. They're all looking for something, like we all are in life.
Hmm.
And sometimes what we're looking for changes, depending where we
Hmm.
are in life. But they're all kind of on this journey. And, at the risk of sounding cheesy, I mean, what we're looking for, I think it's like they find themselves, like at a
Hmm.
very high philosophical level, they all find themselves. I mean, the manifestations of that are different for each of the characters, but they find themselves. Um,
No, I think that's good because I
yeah,
think there's also like a line at the very, very end. It's not, it's in the epilogue. No, it's like at the very end of the book, but it says something like, um, oh dang, I wrote this
oh,
down and now I can't remember. But it's something with like the sunshine and Zodi at the
yeah,
very, very end.
yeah,
So like I think like that was like a good culmination of them like finding themselves. That's what I thought of
yeah,
when I heard
yeah,
read that part.
yeah. I think the line is something like, she steps into the light and God kind of grants you the answers to the questions that wrecked you in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
Something about that. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's there. The answer is within you.
No, I love. And then I guess if you had like one takeaway, or no, if you had two takeaways that you would like people to take away from reading this book, what would be
Oh,
those things that you would want them to leave with?
two takeaways. Well, I want particularly Americans to really, I think when you read the headlines from countries that are experiencing kind of war displacement. They're very dramatic, but it's very hard to see the personal stories that are behind the kind of big headline. And
Mm-hmm.
I want American readers to have a better sense of what it feels like to be a regular, degular person. And then the ish hits the fan, things get very dramatic, and you have to make very real and fast choices about if you're going to stay and be a hero and fight, if you're going to collaborate to save yourself, collaborate with the enemy, or if you're going to leave. And
Mm-hmm.
imagine if you're young and you got to figure that out. And if you leave, where are you going to go? How are you going to start all over? How are you still going to find yourself in all of that? Yeah, I think that's I want people to think about what they would do if they found themselves in like really extraordinary political circumstances. Um,
Mhm.
and how they would still kind of be themselves in it, or how they would how they would change, and the choices they
Mhm.
would make. So that's one takeaway. I, huh, I want people to know about Eritrea's story.
Mhm.
I want people to know about Eritrea's story. I want people to know that Eritrea exists, and I want them to become, it's fun. It's like fun to learn about a new place, a new people, a new community,
Mhm.
and if you're in America, in certain cities, these people are your neighbors, they're your
Mhm.
Uber drivers, they're your doctors, your nurses. It's fun to learn about other people, and that's the power of fiction, and you kind of learn about yourself too. So,
No, I think
yeah.
those are good takeaways because I think
Yeah.
when I left, like my mom's family, uh, they're Ethiopian, but we don't really
Oh,
know
gotcha.
that much about our background. So I think one of the things that I left is thinking like I need to know more about Ethiopia. I need to know more about
Yeah.
Eritrea. And I
Yeah.
feel like also being here and being from the Bay Area, I have so many,
Yes.
I know. So like I need to
Yes.
do more of due
Yeah.
diligence with that. So that's one of my takeaways. And I
Yeah.
think also another takeaway I got from it is just like, well, one, I think the power of community, like the
Hmm.
community within
Hmm.
your families and how you can
Oh,
like
yes,
tap
yes,
into
yes.
that. And then also, I think like
Hmm.
staying curious, but also exercising and using your voice, regardless of where your
Hmm.
standing is. So, like, I think those are what I left from
I
reading.
love that. I really love what you said about community because
Mhm.
I also I started this book a really long time ago, but now have you noticed online there's this conversation about village? People talking about like, where's our village? We need a village. Have you noticed that?
No,
There's
but I think we need one.
We need it. Everyone is like, I'm tired of doing everything by
Yeah.
myself. I need a village. Just like this kind of discourse online. And I've appreciated that some people have responded with to say that's beautiful, but to benefit from a village, you have to be a villager. And being a
Mhm.
villager, you're not, which is obvious, you're not just the beneficiary of like goods and services, you are giving goods and services. And it costs a lot. It costs your time, your money, and your personal preferences. And I appreciate you bringing up community because I think this book depicts that,
Mhm.
especially like the urban community village I grew up in the DC area. It's beautiful, but there's a price to pay for being a part of a village, which is you benefit, but you also you give up your time and your money and your personal preferences to an extent. So
Mhm.
I think I had a lot of fun depicting that to show a little bit more of the texture. But that's amazing that your mother's side of the family is from Ethiopia, and I hope you can dig a little bit more.
Yeah.
Amazing history, amazing cultures. Yeah. I
Yeah.
hope I wish you all the best in your journey of digging into that. That's exciting.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. And I guess one last question could be, this has to be a hard question. So I'll do like a music question and then a
Okay.
book question.
Okay.
So if you could say maybe like one song or artist or album that you would love people to like consume with your book, what would that be? And
Mhm.
then also if you, well, I'll just make it that question because I feel like I was gonna keep thinking.
Um, you know, I will choose uh Homeless Wanderer. I don't think I got the title right. I think it's just called Homeless Wanderer by Emahoy Mariam Tegu. I've never said her name out loud. She's an Ethiopian nun. I think she was a nun. I know she was
Okay.
like a religious, very like deep religious practitioner in some way. She's a trained Ethiopian classical musician,
Okay.
composer, and piano player who composed um, beautiful songs. And The Homeless Wanderer, you have heard it. It is everywhere. And it's this kind of
Okay.
very haunting, melodic, instrumental song that I wrote to a lot.
Okay.
I wrote to a lot. It's beautiful. Do you want me to send you a
Okay.
link?
Oh, sure.
Send you a link. It's gorgeous. You've heard, I'm sure you've heard it. It's gorgeous. It's
Okay.
gorgeous. She just passed away recently. So
Oh
sad.
no.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I guess also, last question, if you had to, so as a reader, if you had
Mhm.
to recommend, aside from your book, which should
Uh-huh.
be at the top of your list, um, what are like two books that you would recommend that anyone should read if they want to read a good book?
Oh my God, Aaron. What kind of questions are you asking me? Um, Nonfiction, I'll go with Out of Egypt by Andre Asiman.
Okay.
Asiman, he wrote Call Me by Your Name, but this is his, which is turned into the movie with Timothy Chalamet. Out of Egypt
Oh.
is his memoirs about his family. They were a Sephardic Jewish family living in Alexandria, Egypt, and it tells the story of their expulsion from Egypt in the 60s, I think, with the fall of the monarchy. But it's this beautiful story about like the end of an era, it's the end about of the a certain life in Alexandria, and it's a story about kind of Sephardic Jewish families and the multicultural country um, kind of experience of those families kind of jumping from country to country. And it's just it's a beautiful story about a time of an era, a place, and a family. And I read it almost every year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, beautiful. And oh my God, this is hard. You have to edit this my little dilly dally out. Okay, I have so many books. I love Zadie Smith's On Beauty. I just think it's like
Oh.
a novel. It's messy. It's chaotic. It's smart.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a great
Mm-hmm.
novel. You
Yeah.
know, New England, biracial, multiracial family. Up just all sorts of hijinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a good one. I read that book, and then I
Did
also
you
really
like
like
it?
Swing Time. Yeah, I love that book, and I
I
like
was
Swing Time
torn.
too.
I was torn because I read those two books regularly, and I really love Swing Time also.
Hmm.
I love
No,
Swing Time as well. Yeah.
she's a great writer because I have
Yeah.
her new essays to
I
read
haven't read it
too. I
yet.
just
Yeah.
haven't actually started.
Yeah. I haven't read it also, but I'm looking forward to it.
Well,
What books do
yeah.
you recommend? Let me ask you. Don't
Oh
just
gosh.
yeah.
Um, well, there's one book. It's called "I'm Down" by Mishna Wolf, and it's like it's a white girl. It's like a memoir, but it's like a white girl growing up in a black area. So
Wow.
her in the '60s, and her dad is like trying to teach her how to be like down
Oh my
to
God.
defend herself.
It's so
Um,
what's her
it's
name?
like it's Mishna Wolf,
Wow.
and so that's like my favorite like funny book. Like I can read that if I'm sad and I read
Yeah.
it and it makes me laugh.
Yeah.
I would say that. I would say like now I'm looking over here.
Mm-hmm.
Um I would say also well I always really like The Color of Water by James McBride, which is
Yes.
like
I did read that book. I read it years ago.
that's like
Yeah.
one of my favorite. We read it in school, but I feel like I
Mm-hmm.
read it all the time just because
Mm-hmm.
I think like even with like Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by him, I
Mm-hmm.
really enjoy that he writes like he pulls everything together like towards the end, but I feel like because he's like a jazz musician, he kind of writes like melodically in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
always like the dialogues of his books. And I probably would say well, maybe I'll say Swing Time since you said On Beauty.
Sometimes great. I need to go
Mhm.
back and read I need to reread The Color of Water, and I never got to Heaven, Hell, that one. Yeah.
It's good. I feel
Yeah.
like yeah, like I feel like you don't really know how things are connected
Mm-hmm.
until like towards the end of the book, and then once the connection happens it's like damn, I should have known that this was going to
Mm-hmm.
happen and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. But I saw him at the National Book Festival
Oh
in
wow.
DC,
Huh?
and he said like he does a lot of dialogues from listening to people on the train, and he just like writes
Yeah.
it down and then uses it for stories. So I thought
That.
hearing him speak and then reading it after, I was like, oh, I could
Yeah.
see how that could be from like overhearing people's conversations, which I really liked.
I love that. That's
Mhm.
very good. You gave me
Yeah.
some books to read and reread.
Oh, thank you. It probably will change if you ask me next week, but
Yep.
that's where I'm stuck right now.
Yep.
Perfect. And then if people want to get in touch with you and see like if you're coming to their city for your book
Mhm.
tour, or if they want to connect with you on social, how can they get in touch with you?
I'm on Instagram. My handle is my name, Bsrat Mezghebe, and my website is bmezghebe.com. So yeah,
Perfect.
how they can find
Well,
me.
and don't do you have a Substack?
I do, but I
I was
haven't.
like, I feel like I saw it, but okay.
That's quarter two goals. Quarter two goals.
I
Maybe
mean, you
even
have a
quarter
lot.
one.
Oh, good,
Maybe I'll try. I
good.
do have a Substack. That's a good
Well,
reminder.
once you do it and people follow you, then they'll find it too.
Yeah. Yeah. So follow me. If maybe if I get more followers, that'll get me actually I was gonna say that'll get me motivated, but I got to bring the people to me. I gotta give the people something for them to come to me. So that's a good reminder.
What?
I am on Substack, but there's not much there.
Okay. Well, I'll
Yeah.
follow you on there just for once you have
Thank
stuff. And I'm like, oh
you.
my God, here she is.
Thank you. Appreciate
Well, perfect. Well, thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much, Erin. I really appreciate the chance to chat with you.
No, and I loved your book, and I will
Thank
put a link at the bottom so
you.
everyone can purchase your book.
Thank you.
And like I said, I read it in print and I read it in
Oh,
audio, so I was
okay.
doing them at the same time. They're
Wow.
both a great experience.
Oh, good. I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you so much.
Hmm. You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Well, take care.